Hello, hello. Very good morning. I hope are you am I audible to you? Can anyone confirm, please? Yeah. Very good morning to all of you. Thanks for joining the session and showing interest in that. Okay. So I know you why we are all here to okay for this morning, and here we are here to learn Microsoft SQL database administration. Okay, and we are going to see this journey from 2005 to 2022, and we are going to install from 2005 to all the operating systems for all the SQL servers. Okay, all the applications. This is my first batch. Actually, no, I'm not interested to take these long sessions. I always interested to take the workshops. Somebody, I think you are already attended my workshops, right? So various pressures like from friends, relatives, and subscribers, uh, all are them are pushed me to do this batch. Okay, and now, so this course I am going to take. This is the syllabus, and I need almost 3 months plus to complete all these syllabus. Why? Because it's not like regular syllabus. Okay, so I want you do the all the practicals. It is just like job oriented training program. Okay, once you attend my this training program, you have to crack the job on your own, and if you already doing the job, that's well and good, and you have to get the best package. For example, if you are having 2 years of experience, then your package should be 10 lakhs above. If you are having 3 to 4 years experience, then your package should be 15 lakhs above. That is my main motto for this workshop. Okay, so now we will, these are all the modules. We are having three levels. Level 1 covers from history, evolution, installation, configuration, backups, restores, uh, and security and database email and implementation of automations. These are all level 1. Coming to level 2 will cover all high availability disaster recovery solutions, which is log shipping, mirroring, replication, always on SQL clustering. Coming to third level, it's like performance tuning. All we are going to cover L2 level only, or more, some thought bit high than that only. Okay, so with this experience, you can, I mean, you can like cover 4 years of experience as well. Okay, so whatever I do, you have to replicate the same, and okay, you have to send the screenshots for me so that you can easily do the job in your environment. Okay, so that is the one of the motto here. Now coming to what's today concept that we are going to learn. I know some of you are already doing the job, some might are trying for the job. Sir, with all due respect, I am considering all of you like as is from scratch. I mean, you don't know anything. From that idea only, I am uh, taking this content. Please bear with me who are already know all these things. Okay, now coming to contents, what is data and what's the information, what is SQL Server, what is my MS SQL Server, how the SQL Server came into picture, and how it got famous. Okay, what are the versions that we are having, editions, and what's the difference between database management system and RDBMS? What are the requirements that we need to have? What is mean by 32-bit and 64-bit? And we will see all these contents. Okay, and if the time permits, yes, yes, please. No, no, that's not. I'm not going to. I'm covering only for the reports. Okay, I'm just like we are going to fetch the reports for using the PowerShell. So little bit changes where we have to use those only. I am going to cover. Mm, Okay, then. So these are the things we are going to look into for today class. Okay, and like what is mean by data? Anything collection of raw facts, figures which are meaningful or not. For example, I out going out, is it meaningful or not? is it is not meaningful, right? But we have information. Okay, so when we call it as a information, when we convert that data, when we collect, when we process the raw data into meaningful information, then we call it as a information. Okay, so if I do that here, I am converting that, I am going out. Okay, so if I convert, I'm converting the raw data into meaningful presentation, then only we call it as a information. Okay, and uh, coming to here, like data can be three types. One is structure, unstructured, and semi-structure. These are the T type. What is mean structure? Means rows, the data which presented in the rows or columns, then we call it as a structure. So if you see here, by seeing this table, we came to know this is one of the table, this is the student ID, student name, and location, right? So we can directly query the data, what is with the required columns as well, right? So coming to semi-structure, semi-structure is also like structured data, but it's not in a traditional row column database. So if you see that, for example, one of the example for this semi-structure is JSON data. So this is how the data will present look like. Okay, coming to unstructured means there is no structure. Examples: audio, video, images, files, PPT, everything. Why? Because database engine by default cannot read these images. Okay, by cannot these deal with, we can store and we can pull, but we can, for example, I am having one photo. Can I ask database engine who are they in this picture? I cannot do that, right? So database engine will deal with only structure and semi structured data, with not with the, for a deal with unstructured data, we have like Python, LLM, various models are there nowadays. Now I want to know few companies about, like there is IBM, very big company, and if you see here, what is mean by IBM here? International Business Missions. So this is how the missions looks like at that time. IBM company was very famous for hardware at that time, and now also it is famous very hardware only. So very big hardwares. If you see in the screens, okay, I will open. See, this is how the big hardware missions as well. How many of you visited that in Hyderabad, especially? There is a museum are there. Birla Museum is there, right? So in the Birla Museum, there is one camera. That camera occupied one entire room. How many of you visited that? Anyone? Hello? Okay, then no problem. Okay, so IBM was are very famous for the missions. Okay, and this is how Microsoft was famous for MS DOS at that time. So Microsoft was very small company when it got it was entered into Microsoft operating systems. So at that time, within short term time, the company was evolved like that, got famous with MS DOS operating systems. I think 10 years back, when you purchase a laptop in Amazon, they will give the free MS-DOS operating system as well. With along not with the Windows, they will give MS-DOS. And why we are dealing with why all we are covering saying all this to cover the fundamental knowledge where we are from where we started. Okay, so I want to cover all these aspects. That's the reason this is we are not going all these what we are discussing. We are not get the, I mean, we don't get interview questions on this. Okay, especially what the questions is you will get is you will get only this thing. What is mean? What? How many types of data we have? Structure, semi-structure, unstructured. Only you will get this interview question. Okay, in the level one interview. Okay, and like from the let's start with the where it all started. I will tell you the one background story. Okay, so now what happened? IBM was very famous for missions, and Microsoft was become very famous for operating system within span of no time. Microsoft gained huge popularity for its MS-DOS operating system. So what happened? What IBM has think that is, okay, I'm hardware and I'm facing troubles in developing the OS2 operating system to the more better. Okay, so why don't you and join a together joint a develop venture? So after these so many talks, they enter into a joint agreement, and so Microsoft is going to help IBM to develop OS2 operating system. Okay, that is like that is a Unix operating system. Okay, so they were rapidly developing these products and everything. So IBM Microsoft is helping IBM to develop the operating system. Simultaneously, it is developing is at the time MS-DOS is also famous. So along with MS-DOS, it's simultaneously Microsoft also developing next version of Windows operating systems. Okay, so what happened here? Okay, DOS was very famous, and while working with IBM, Microsoft identify one thing, like there is a huge potential for client hardware and to develop more graphic oriented operating systems and low end hardware. But IBM hardware was very big and it is very high amount. Okay, so now what happened? So initially Microsoft developed the released Microsoft Windows 3.3, and it's become very success than OS2 operating systems. What will happen when two friends are working together and another friend got very famous? So this created some rivalry, or you can call it as jealous in the for in IBM. So what happened? IBM was very silent at that time. After that, what happened? So IBM added more graphical user interface, and it got released in the market along with. So what IBM has said, oh guys, you purchase my operating system and I will give the my SQL RDBMS database manager. Nowadays we calling it as IBM DB2. Okay, so this is the offer that has given for his customers. So by what the Microsoft got this, if you are developing the operating system, you have to sell, but you are trying to create a ecosystem which further was not yet discussed in the agreement. Okay, so the Microsoft feel that he got cheated. Okay, so finally they broke the partnership and they fight for the legal battle. So okay, so this is how, if you see that OS2 operating managed system was having copyrights for IBM and Microsoft as well. So are you able to see my screen, right? Yeah, yeah. So they went for legal battle, and this is the one of the story article which was there in the new present edited by like in the New York's time at that time. Okay, you can get it in the news and Google as well. So they went for the legal battle, and like you know that right how court works. It so many things are there, and they finally they settled out of the court. Okay, so that's how now. But somewhere they have Microsoft had a grudge. Okay, so on IBM, and what it has done, Sybase. So at the Sybase was also very big company in database market. Arkil also one of the big company in the database market at that time. At that time, okay. So 1987. I was born in 1989. Okay, see this one means just I'm telling that name. I don't enter into naming age. Okay, so cyber 1987. Don't forget that. Don't remember all these years. Just like I want to show you the timeline of the SQL Server. Sybase was released SQL Server for Unix operating system. So somewhere IBM has teach a lesson. how it got cheated, right? So now that the same technique has been used by Microsoft, okay, to acquire those knowledge. Okay, Microsoft is also developing a SQL server, but that's not too much, okay, that does not much very famous. So what it happened, Microsoft, Sybase and Aston Tet, three companies are joined, or you can consider are three friends. One is Microsoft, Sybase and Aston Tate has joined hands to develop SQL server for OS2 operating system. Okay, and they finally they enter into 1989. Within span of 1 year, they released SQL Server 1.4 for OS2 operating system. And at the same time, in the next year, they developed 1.1 SQL Server for Windows as well. So at that time, what happened? Aston came out for the SQL Server development. But who is Aston Tata here? That is the one of the question. Okay, Aston company is a US based company for is one of the very popular at the time of D-base database application. If you see here in the screen, this is one of the old version of in the black screen what you are seeing that, right? That is very old application. This is the new application, D-base. Okay, so now you guys, I am working with you, you database are getting very famous, my database was not, I'm not getting any profit, so then why should I work with along with you? So Aston thought like that, and he came out of that SQL server development in 1990. Okay, then Aston Tanto went out SQL server development, and now I am developing Windows SQL Server for Windows. Why should I work? I develop the same for OS2 operating system. So then Microsoft also ended the development of OS2 operating system with IBM. So they both got separated in with OS2, and Aston came separated with Microsoft and Sybase in SQL Server development. Now who are working together now? Microsoft and Sybase. Microsoft are both are developing for their Unix operating systems. Now, later some point of time, okay, these two companies came into one general agreement. Oh, boss, Microsoft, you develop your SQL server with the same code for your Windows operating system, but don't enter into my Linux SQL server. Okay, Sybase, no problem. I don't have any problem. You develop your SQL server, I develop my SQL server with the same code only. But it is for your Unix, it is for my Windows. They got into one gentleman agreement and they got separated. But both our names are same. So to avoid this confusion, what Microsoft think, I am renaming my SQL server as MS SQL Server. Okay, Cybers, what I will also rename my SQL Server with Adaptive Server Enterprise. You hold copyrights of my MS SQL Server. I will hold SQL Server rights for Adaptive Server Enterprise, which is Sybase. So this is the agreement that was happened between Microsoft and SQL Server. So if you see that, who is the mother of our MS SQL Server is Sybase. Now Sybase is a company acquired by the SAP. Now, now the real history was started. Okay, now they started with 6, 7, 9, 2010. See, now in the year of 2005, Microsoft boom has started with the release version of 2005. From 2005 onwards, Microsoft has never ever looked back in the database market. See, nowadays, if you go outside of these people and ask for what is Microsoft, they will say all Windows operating systems and MS SQL Server. See, Microsoft has entire ecosystem, but in the people mind, it got registered for Windows or MS SQL Server. But now it has been changed. Now Microsoft has very famous and very number one market in the database as well nowadays. Okay, so from the year of 2005 never looked back, and later it was developed 2018, in 2010, 2008 are 2, 12, 14, 16, 17, 19, 22. As of now 22, I think in the next year it is going to release 2025, I think so. Okay, or number 2026. Okay, now this is the timeline of SQL Server. So how it was generated. Now you tell me, like what is the age factor of the our SQL Server, where it got started, and like this time, right? 1990. Can anyone having calculator? Can you minus 2014 my minus 19000? Can anyone do that for me? I will do that. Huh? 34, right? See, you can remove that 4 years. Okay, you can consider. Means our SQL Server is having 30 plus years of experience. Means that much very old. Okay, and we are very fortunate people to learn this technology. Whatever the errors that in been there, so you can get it from the Google as well. Why? Because we have very big uh, history as well. Now they are in the market, they are very they are 45 plus reporting tools are there. But what is the famous reporting tool for today that is not famous for next couple of years as well. but but still our legacy is there from last 30 years. That I want to tell you. Now if you see here, this is the one of the screen which I got from the Wikipedia. This is how it got started. 1.0 OS 2 in 1999. It was developed by 16-bit. See, as of now, I have first whenever I got introduced to the systems, okay, at that time I know there is only 32-bit, but when of the SQL Server was developed, it was 16-bit only. So in the year of 1993, okay, they developed Windows operating system which is called WinNT. WinNT stands for new technology. Okay, after that, like 1996, okay, up to a year in the 2006, it was developed come with the 2005. And like there is a code name, okay, there is a internal database versions. These are all we are going to see in the further sessions. In 2014, like we have like Microsoft also entered uh, in the cloud market because of AWS only. Okay, so otherwise the Microsoft has never idea to get enter into the cloud market. So now current the latest SQL Server is SQL Server 2022. So why we are dealing with SQL Server means whenever you go in the real time, you will see from SQL Server 2005 to 2022. It's all depends upon your project. Okay, so in my company, wherever I work, right, I have seen up to 2005 servers up to 5 only. More than that, I didn't see anything. 2008 are there. I worked on every SQL Server versions up from 2005 to 2022. Okay, so if I experience you, if I will take you through that experience, right? So in real time, you don't scare or you don't like hesitate to work those kind of tickets. That is the my main motto to show you all the installations, and I want to take you that how the SQL Server interface got developed as well. Okay, so if you go with the 2005, it was very ugly. The interface was very like you don't like to work. Okay, so but I want to make you go through that. Like, okay, now what is mean by 32-bit and 64-bit? Now before coming to this question, what is the language? One thing, whatever I click a button on a computer, okay, who is going to convert that into a machine learning language? Who is that? OS. Will OS do that? Is there any uh, driver that is going to do that? Means that is kernel, right? The kernel will convert the human language into machine learning language. Okay, what is the machine learning language? Either it English or Hindi or something else. Anyone, please? It's a binary language. How many letters do we have in English? It is like 26, right? So in the binary language, we are having only two letters. One is 0 or 1. Computers understand binary language. It understands in binary language there are only two letters, either it is a 0 or 1 or combination of both. Okay, so whatever we click, right, that kernel will convert all these into 0 1 0 1 0 1s are there, right? Okay, I will tell you that. Okay, before uh, text to binary. See, when I type that my name is Harsha, but how the computer understand is this is how it understand. Okay, and see, right? So once I give my name is Harsha and I took the binary format and I do the reverse search and it is going to my name. So this is how the kernel do between user and operating system. Okay, so now how much zeros has to be per second per millisecond? How much zeros or one has to be transferred? It all depends upon the bit of the operating system. Okay, why I am telling to you all of this is to go make you sure that the understand better of 32-bit and 64-bit operating systems. Okay, so 32-bit operating system means it transfers 32 bits up to 32. This is assumed like these are 32 bits, right? It will transfer 32 bits per millisecond at first per milliseconds. Okay, what about 64 bit? It transfer 64 bits per millisecond. This is the main difference between 32 bit and single bit. Now you tell me which one is fast, at 32 or 64? Hello. Yeah, thank you. So 64 bit. So for 32 bit, we are having very some limitations are there. Why? Because like it supports only 4 GB of RAM. This is the main disadvantage of 32-bit system. That's the reason nowadays every operating system and even SQL Server has also stopped producing of 32-bit from SQL Server 2016 onwards. If you go with the 2012 or 12 or 2014, you can install SQL Server in 32-bit and as well 64-bit as well. But whereas from SQL Server 2016, they were completely removed 64-bit. Okay, so the name whenever you get this question, you might get. Okay, for sometimes in when manager, when he want to check the how good you are at internals, so at that time he will ask this question, what's the difference between 32-bit? It's very rare. Okay, so you can say 32-bit will transfer 32 bits of data per millisecond, and like it have a RAM limitation, but like what it has more compatibility device drivers. This is the one of the advantage what we have for 32-bit. For RAM limitation, it supports maximum up to 7 to 8 TB, and also it has depend upon operating system as well, and like more memory registers and requires more space, and it is nowadays everybody has developed. See, if I develop some product, right, I cannot expect the entire people of the world will have to switch or have to move to that next operating system, right? It will take some time to transition, right? Yes or no? So if I develop SQL Server 2022, I cannot expect my subscribers or my customers, everybody has to be upgrade to the 2022. It will take time. So at that time, 64, we don't have compatible drivers for 64-bit, but nowadays this is going to change. Now every driver is available in 64-bit. Okay. Now what is SQL Server? That is the one of the question. Now, what is SQL here? SQL stands for Structure Query Language. What is meant by structure? The data which is presented in the rows or columns. Okay, that we calling it as structure. Which means SQL will work only with the data which is present in the rows and columns. What we are doing, we are retrieving. We are talking to the SQL Server. Query means, so I whenever I got any inquiry emails, what you will do? Thanks for showing interest. Please let us know your query. That is what, right? Means I am talking to you. So if you want to talk to the database, we require some data language, right? That language is called SQL Server. Who developed this language initially? IBM was developed at later 1970. So who has given the white paper how it should be designed? There is very fathers are there. We are going to see in tomorrow session. Okay, like, so now nowadays every person I would like to know who are you mean SQL developer, or who what you are working as like SQL nowadays nobody will take that I am SQL developer. Okay, SQL developer, everybody will say SQL. Okay, what is mean previously it was at that time English was very international language, right? So even though we were having local languages, first they developed the language database in the English language. That's the reason they mentioned that as a structure English language. Okay, this is English language, they have included English language two times. So they, if you remove that, right, it cannot create a meaningful name. So in olden day, they call it as a sequel. Now it was commonly, even though it was SQL, but still we have some legacy, right, from coming years. They call it as a sequel. But later, the sequel become as a SQL developer. So once it is developer, some okay. One you tell me, okay, in India. I will tell you one small story. Like some like in India, how the distance will be calculated. Okay, in kilometers. What about in the US? They do calculate distance in the kilometers or in the miles. Hello? Right. Yes. Good. So everyone will have a standardization, right? Okay. Every country or every organization, like every level, they have their certain standardizations. So in 1986, there is a there like a national standard organizations institutes are there, right? ISO organization. They took that language SQL and they become as a standardization and they kept it as a open. Okay. Now what they have done? They took that initial language, they added their syntax differences, and they came out with their own product names as well. Okay, for example, I am from Telugu states in India. We are all united by the language called Telugu, right? But accent is different. Yes or no? Yes, we are having so many accents. Okay, but I will take one Telangana and I will take Rayalaseema and I will take Andhra. We are by talking itself. We can ask that are you from Andhra or are you from Telangana? So by looking at the accent, we can tell that this person is has came from this background, right? So now we have this SQL Server, right? Microsoft has taken that language, open language, they added its syntax, they name it as a T-SQL, TSQL. MySQL take that language and they name it as a MySQL. IBM take that SQL and they call it as a PLSQL. So SQL is a common language. Everybody has taken, they have added their own syntax and they renamed their, like they are added their own proprietary extensions and future. Postgres is also an RDMA solution which is open source. Now it's a become somewhat commercial. Okay, they name it as a PLSQL. Okay, so that's like all about SQL Server. Now what is mean by MS SQL Server? Now you write Microsoft SQL Server is a database relationship meta. What is mean by relation database? See, coming to humans, what I and my mother and my parents has some bonding, some relationship, what we call it as a parent child relationship, right? So as a humans we had that relation. For tables should have that relations, right? That relations we call it as a parent child relations, or we call it as a primary or foreign key relationships. So we will talk later on this somewhat the TSQL basics later, the further sessions. So what the SQL Server will do, it will store the data, okay, and it can retrieve, we can retrieve whenever we want, and we can truncate the data, and we can remove the unwanted data. Okay, we can manage that certain data as well, which is in rows and columns. Okay, so this is all like we are going to see more in-depth information. So this, since it is my first sessions, yesterday I see, I mean I sat at 9:30, and I took to up to 12:30. I Thus much of time I took to make this presentation. So now I mean I need some more time. Okay, so in further sessions I will come to complete 1.5 hour. Okay, so I hope you understand my concern. So this are for this day, this is all about only. So I am stopping the recording. If you have any questions, please let me know.